remember guys, I'm gonna give you a quiz at the end of September. All right? So if you haven't done the homework, so you haven't done them completely, start kind of catching up and reviewing. All right, the people that I'm going to talk about to you guys today are very important. I want us to remember these faces and these names. These are the pillars of what I'm teaching you guys this semester. This whole DJing shit, especially with regards to hip hop, harkens back to this man right here. All right, so we're going to put him at the top.
Are we saying who he is?
Yeah, can someone other than Rylan or Maisie or Emmy tell me who this guy is?
Kool. Yeah.
Yes, Simone. This is Kool Herc. And what is he famous for? Anyone know?
Wasn't it the first hip hop party?
Yes. Melissa's right. First hip hop party. Anyone know where? What borough of New York City?
Bronx.
Bronx, New York. And that's why they say the Bronx is the home of hip hop. All right? Next, do you guys know who this person is?
Yes.
Afrika Bambaataa. Grandmaster Flash.
No,
No, that's Afrika Bambaataa.
I know you guys know. Afrika Bambaataa. Okay. Anyone know his relevance to hip hop? Rylan.
He was a part of the Zulu Nation.
Yes.
And he was the man responsible for linking all of the pillars of hip hop together,
Yes.
which was DJing,
Uh-huh.
MCing, graffiti, and breakdancing.
DJing, MCing, graffiti, and breakdancing. So we call that the four elements
Oh,
of hip
did I
hop.
say pillar?
Yeah, it's all right.
What? Okay, so there's a difference. There's
I mean, for me, these are pillars in that
There.
we stand on their shoulders.
Ah.
All right, Afrika Bambaataa, Kool Herc, the other two guys I'm about.
those are the pillars.
Those are the pillars
The
of hip hop,
elements
of hip hop and DJing specifically. And then you have elements within hip hop culture. Afrika Bambaataa decided that the elements of hip hop, the different facets of creativity that would gather together at these parties, the dancers, the rappers, the graffiti artists, the DJs, instead of being splintered and in their own little cliques, he wanted to join those four elements under one umbrella. So, and there's been debate about this in a sense that people have this sort of like utopic perception of hip hop and its genesis, and the media kind of glorifies hip hop in a sense that these different elements were together from like its conception, and to be honest with you, that's not really the truth. Graffiti artists hung with graffiti artists. Break dancers hung with breakers. And really the only, out of the four elements, the only two elements that collaborated a lot were the MC, because he would grab the mic at the parties, talk to the crowds, and the DJs. But Bam was like, let's take all of those elements and join them together. So we credit Bam for conceptualizing hip hop to be these four different elements that work together.
What did the FBI infiltrate the scene?
I don't know much of the conspiracy theory stuff. I'm the wrong person to ask. Yeah, so sorry, Emmy, I can't help you there. All right, and we're gonna keep this conversation light. We're not gonna talk about the FBI or conspiracy theories. Okay, so we got Afrika Bambaataa.
He was.
he didn't come up with any techniques. He was
No,
a man who just
no.
unified everyone.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Because I know Kool Herc is important because he was the grandfather. He
Right.
was the one who started.
Right. Bam, what Bam was known for was his record collection.
His collection. Okay.
His record collection. Bam would play the most obscure songs at his parties, and no one would know where he got this music from. So Bam was a record connoisseur, and that's what he was famous for. In addition to uniting the four elements of hip hop under one umbrella. Okay. All right. So.
Was he the one who started doing the thing where, like, he would scribble out the labels, the songs with, like...
Afrika, Bambaataa, Kool Herc, and other DJs from that era, all of them would, if they had a record and they knew other DJs that DJed throughout the city, especially in the Bronx, had their parties and their reputations, they would scribble out the labels of the record so that the other DJs or the people that would go to the parties wouldn't know what the songs were. Because here's something that I want you guys to appreciate and consider about what you are learning in my class. The music that you play is an extension of your spirit, your soul, your essence. So they felt like if they found a record hunting, you know, going record digging throughout the city, and they found a record that they knew no one else was playing, that's what made them stand out from the other DJs. So if they're now letting the other DJs know what they're playing, their parties aren't as unique or special or authentic. So they all would pride themselves on having their own record collection, their own style of music, the genres that they played, and no one would copy from each other. They would respect each other in that way. Now things are different.
Yeah, why didn't they just Shazam the songs?
Yeah, right? Now, like if you're playing Maisie out and there's a DJ and they're like, yo, she's rocking, and what's that song? They'll either go to your laptop and look. I've had to do this to guys, like you're not gonna look at my shit, or
Yeah, 'cause if you're mixing two songs together, can't you, like, technically you can't Shazam that because it's two songs together.
oh no, but you're not gonna start the mix off from jump,
Yeah.
right? And at some point you are gonna let the song play. So yeah, be careful, guys.
Technology
No
these
one's-
days.
Yeah, only play songs for 15 seconds or less, and then people can't Shazam.
No, I bite. There's like I Shazam for the stuff.
All right, guys. So now we have in our little hip hop tree of life here, whereas Afrika Bambaataa was known for his record collection, Flash was known for his techniques. Flash introduced dropping on the one. It was Flash that introduced backspinning, taking a sound, a word, a one bar section of a drum and looping it over and over again, manually with his hands. Flash is the one that deserves the credit for the techniques a lot of the techniques that I'm teaching you guys throughout the course of the semester. So we're just gonna call him the turntable technician. This guy here, man, we're gonna put him right there. Thanks.
I just found it interesting how his hand placement on that record.
Theodore?
Yeah. He's really getting it.
He wears Tim's in like the summertime, like all day.
You met him?
Yeah.
He's come here.
How old is he?
He's like 52, 53.
So crazy how young
Yeah.
this is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all. They just,
And what's also crazy. Thanks, Sophie. What's also crazy, guys, is this art, this culture is young, and these four people were teenagers when they cultivated all. So the idea that Kool Herc, Bambaataa, Flash, Theodore were 15, 16, 17 years old, creating this subculture of music and dance and art and poetry is phenomenal. And the fact that none of them were classically trained, it's not like they understood music theory or any of that, yet here I am in 2018 teaching a class at a university the things that they developed on their own just out of intuition and instinct. It's amazing when you think about it. Now, we're up to the last guy here. GrandWizzard Theodore. Theodore had an older brother named Gene, and Gene was in a mobile DJ crew with Grandmaster Flash. They would do parties together. Theodore, the younger brother, had the duty of carrying their records, setting up their equipment, and from being around Flash and Mean Gene, his older brother, he started to pick up the different techniques that they, remember, this is the technician, this is the technique guy. So he started picking up the different ways that they were manipulating sound, opposed to just letting a song play the way Bambaataa and Herc would. Theodore was in his house one day making a mixtape and accidentally came across the fact that when you cue up a song, right, you're actually scratching. So if you guys could just bring it up. I'm gonna demonstrate what song he used and how he did this. Now let's just say I wanted to cue this song, right? So you drop the needle on the record, and let's say you probably dropped it just a little bit ahead of the start point. You'd rewind, which is what I taught you guys to do. Stop at 11, then do what? Pull back. So a lot of DJs would just move their record hand back and forth to just get a really good feel for where the song starts. But this would happen in their headphones. Theodore was making a tape. Music was blasting too loud. His mom bursts into his bedroom, starts yelling at him. And at the spot that he was recording the tape while his mom was yelling at him, without him knowing, he was queuing up this sound, queuing it up, and didn't have the chance to bring the music down and just cue up in his headphones because his mom was yelling at him. So when he went back to listen to the mixtape, he got to the part where his mom burst into the room and heard himself cueing this song back and forth over the music that he was playing on the opposite turntable, and stopped and was like, I'm gonna do that outside of my headphones so that my audience could hear me.
That song?
Coax that song, and it coaxed that sound, and yes, it was that song. So he went from queuing up in the headphones to get a feel for where the start point of the song was, and now he would just cue up out of the headphones so that his audience could also hear it. It went from just this generic back and forth to more expressiveness, and what ended up happening was DJs like Flash, GrandMixer DST would see these DJs applying this technique in park jams, parties, and just kind of record mentally what the movement was on the record, how they were applying this technique, go home and then practice it. And then the style just developed and morphed into what it is today. So I'm gonna give you guys an example of how we went from this generic to this crazy shit that I'm gonna teach you guys over the course of the next couple of weeks. So I'm gonna just grab what we call the ah sound. That ah sound, we're gonna work with that for the next couple of weeks until you get confident with your scratches and develop your own vocabulary. And once I feel like you guys have developed your scratch vocabulary, you're confident, you're moving rhythmically, you're in the pocket of the drums that I play out of my speakers or that you scratch to on your stations, then I'm gonna let you guys choose whatever sound you wanna flip. The important thing for you to know is you wanna pick sounds that are sharp, that stand out, okay? So I'm just gonna play a drum beat, and then I'm gonna get you guys scratching along with me. First scratches were faderless. So what I mean by faderless is you just open the fader and focus on your record hand, okay? So I'm gonna do a few record hand, open fader, faderless scratches and give you guys an example of the different ranges that you could achieve just by moving the record back and forth without using a fader. So that's a faderless scratches, right? Remember, you want to be in the pocket. Flash started incorporating a crossfader, all right? Faderless scratches existed back then because mixers didn't have crossfaders. It was all up and down faders. Flash was one of the earlier DJs to actually own a mixer with a crossfader. So he started incorporating the crossfader. Think of the crossfader, guys, as the bow for a violin, right? So you have the violin and you have the strings on it, and you can make noises by plucking the strings, but the bow helps you achieve more range. That's what the fader is, okay? So you could go from this to this. You could go from this to this. And it's the same exact movement, but when you incorporate the fader, you just added more color, more range to the sound. So what I want us to do, guys, is you're gonna go to your stations, find the ah, right? And we're just gonna, you're gonna copy me. So whatever scratch I throw out, you're gonna reply the same way. I wanna focus on just hand control right now,
Do you
all
want
right?
the speakers up?
And the speakers are gonna be up. I'll see you later on. So session out, up, guys. And if you're sharing and you're on the left turntable, use your left hand. If you're on the right, use your right hand. So I'm gonna circle the room.
Hey.
At least we kept going.
Always keep going.
I'm gonna take you guys home. Good shit, guys. Biceps, 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 biceps.
Bicep.
Biceps, everybody, biceps.
Bicep.
Let's go. Let's
We need
go.
a close
I
up.
got a good one.
Biceps.
Oh, you got the line there.
Good shit.
Hey, oh! Hey.
Good shit.